Hey y'all, I'm Tim. Welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. If you like Japanese maples, if you like conifers, make sure you're subscribed to our Mr. Maple Show on YouTube. We put out daily gardening content. You're sure to enjoy that. And check us out on MrMaple.com. We're a mail order business. We ship directly to your door. Small family mail order business, but a lot of really unique Japanese maples, conifers, azaleas, and other interesting plants. So go to MrMaple.com and support us by shopping on MrMaple.com. We'd really appreciate it. Today, we've got a really cool one for you. You know I love the color yellow, so today we've got Tim's top 5 yellow conifers. Yeah, that's right. 5 yellow conifers you'll really enjoy for your garden. I mean, we love conifers. Conifers do so much in the landscape and garden. I love conifers because they pair so well with Japanese maples. Japanese maples are known for having that ever-changing beauty. Well, conifers really give you a nice evergreen interest to pair out there and really make a full garden out in your garden and landscape. By pairing these with some of your Japanese maples and other woody ornamentals in your garden, you can have a really unique interest in your garden. You know, yellow, that's also one of my favorite colors. If you love yellow Japanese maples and you love yellow plants, you're going to love yellow conifers. They add so much to the landscape and garden. What I love about yellow is that when you add yellow in the landscape and garden, it allows you to see every shade of green. I mean, from just being a green landscape, you now see light green, dark green, medium green, the Kelly green, yellow green, and your eyes are opened up to the full color spectrum that's already in your garden. But by adding this yellow, it contrasts so well. It provides a dynamic contrast against some of the red Japanese maples, some of the blue conifers, and it really adds that extra dynamic in the landscape and garden. And there's some really unique conifers that give you that yellow color. First up, at number 5, we've got Wells Golden. This is Cedrus deodora Wells Golden. Now, I love this because it is a zone 7 through 11 conifer. That's right, we've got a super heat tolerant conifer for you. It's a Himalayan cedar. Now, the Himalayan cedars have some really nice conical shapes as they age. They give a real mountainous-like effect. This plant will develop a central leader and have lateral side branching to it that gives it a really nice shape. But the great thing about Wells Golden is this plant will really have a lot more yellow color to it. We grow all of our plants in 55% white poly because that's what the most of our nursery is. It's a Japanese maple nursery. But when you give this tree more sunlight, the needles will actually brighten up to a much more intense yellow color on the needles. And that gives such a dynamic color out in the landscape and garden. And being that this is a zone 7 through 11 plant, this is a plant that can go down to extremely hot zones as a conifer and give you evergreen interest, which you don't get a lot of ornamental evergreens for those super hot climates. But being a Cedrus deodora, Wells Golden does that with a flash of color. And that flash of color of yellow contrasts very well, makes it an easy tree for a lot of people to grow in their landscape. As with all of our conifers that we've got here on the table today, they're all evergreen conifers. And these evergreen conifers typically want very good drainage. Good drainage is paramount with conifers, just like it is with Japanese maples. And you give them good drainage, Wells Golden is going to thrive, do well for you out in the landscape and garden. Make sure that you give plenty of sunlight to Wells Golden as well, because this plant is going to be rock solid, make a fantastic specimen out in the landscape, and add that yellow color. Next up, we've got Thuga Amber Glow. Now, the thing I like about Amber Glow is it gives you a yellow, it's a green during the spring and the summer. You see that a little bit here on this interior growth. Green, and then it starts turning yellow, and then it goes to amber in there in the late winter. So late fall, early winter, you get some nice yellows to it. Late winter, you get some really nice ambers to this plant. This is a plant that will end up getting about 3 to 4 feet tall by about 3 to 4 foot wide in 10 years. At number 4, Amber Glow gives you a tighter, more compact plant that's easy for a lot of people to grow. This is going to be a zone 4 through 8 plant. And so, I mean, this can go a zone colder than many of your Japanese maples. But for a lot of people that are in that zones 5 through 8 that are growing Japanese maples, this tree is going to do fantastic in your garden as well. Give it some sunlight to really peak the colors on this plant. It's really hardy. Again, drainage is paramount on the conifers. And this is a tree that can do really well in your landscape and garden and give you a lot of color in a really small space. Next up, we've got a Cryptomeria japonica. Now, if you saw our video at the Cox Arboretum, Tom Cox at Cox Gardens and Arboretum in Canton, Georgia, has one of the best cryptomeria collections in the United States. I mean, it's amazing. One of my favorite cryptomeria japonicas is Golden Promise. Now, Golden Promise has yellow new growth. Yeah, that's right, for a cryptomeria. And it's a dwarf. So this is a cryptomeria japonica, a Japanese cedar that stays very rounded and compact all by itself, but has yellow new growth. Now, during the winter months, you may get some bronzing colors like you get with many of the cryptomerias. So you may get some bronze colors around this yellow dwarf cryptomeria. But cryptomerias are unique. One of the things I like about cryptomerias and Japanese cedars is they can survive a slightly more shaded location. You still want to give them some sunlight or partial sunlight, but they can actually go in a more shaded location than many of your other conifers. This makes them ideal for pairing with Japanese maples that may be growing in a very similar circumstance in that partial shade. Now, Cryptomeria japonica is an amazing plant all by itself, but then when you get that in a compact dwarf that's going to get 4 foot by 4 foot in 10 years, add that yellow color this plant has in the new growth where it gets the name of Golden Promise, you get something that's really special and unique. Both the Amber Glow and the Golden Promise are plants that can do well in containers. They've got that smaller compact habit. They're excellent for containers, but do remember conifers in containers may need to be protected in those winter months, especially if you're in those colder zones. Good drainage, as always, is paramount with all these conifers on the table, and especially in containers as well. So coming in at number 2, you've heard us talk about this plant a lot. This is a plant we went out and filmed at a local community college in a rainstorm at a really good specimen. This is Picea orientalis Skylands. Now, Skylands is a classic conifer. This is a selection that was found, and the original one is at the Skylands estate, which is now the New Jersey Botanical Gardens. And we had the blessing of getting to go and see the original plant with one of the groundskeepers. I mean, it's amazing. It's this huge specimen that is really, really old. Now, in 10 years, this is a plant that will get about 10 to 12 feet. So it's not a very fast-growing conifer, but it's got a good moderate growth rate. What Skylands does is it develops a central leader, and then it has these side branches that go off of it. And where the sunlight hits this plant, you've got yellow on the needles. Skylands may show a little burning to the needles when it's first getting established, but fear not, once your conifer is established, those needles won't be burning anymore, and this is a plant that will establish itself and turn into a really nice upright specimen that gives you some really good yellow color. I love what Skylands does out in the landscape. The older growth on this plant has some greener color to it, and the yellow highlights from where the sun hits it contrast so well against that darker foliage. It really adds something special to this yellow conifer, and for a good mid-sized upright conifer, this one is an excellent selection. In zones 4 through 8, this plant can grow. That means it's going to do awesome for a lot of people in their landscape and garden. Super cold tolerant. Zone 4, I mean, that's down to -30 through zone 8. So a lot of people who are growing Japanese maples can also grow a Skylands. Now, if you're in a zone 8, you may need to give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun, simply because this is a Norway spruce that does have yellow color on it as well. But this is a plant that's a classic, and to me is one of the best yellow conifers on the market today. That's Picea orientalis Skylands. Now we're down to number 1, guys. Number 1, we've got Pinus sylvestris gold coin. I love gold coin. Gold coin is one of those very unique pines that transitions to colors as well. In the springtime, you may have the yellow fading out going to green. During the summer, you have some green color on this pine. It's a Scotch pine. And so this is a plant that's good zones 3 through 8. But what makes this plant so special and so unique is that during those winter months, when the winter approaches, that cold starts coming in, the needles on this turn to a bright golden yellow. This gives such a unique color for a pine. It's one of the most brightly intense yellow pines, as you can see right here. I mean, it's the color of my shirt. And this thing just gives out some of the best yellow color of any of the Pinus sylvestris. And there are plenty of other yellow pines that go to yellow in the winter, but gold coin is by far considered one of the very best of the Pinus sylvestris for giving you that excellent, excellent winter color. Now this is a plant that'll end up getting about 10 to 12 feet in 10 years, so it makes a good mid-sized conifer as well. Giving you a nice structure up there in the garden. Pairs so well with things like some of your blue spruces like Picea pungens globosa. That's going to give you that rounded blue kind of conifer feel with something like this that gives you a nice upright yellow. You throw a Japanese maple in the mix with this and you've got just some outstanding colors out there in the landscape and garden that are going to really rock it out. A Tamukiyama, a classic, red weeper beside this. I mean, it's just the color contrast between all those colors are so dynamically different. And that's what I love about the color yellow. The color yellow just brings your eye to the garden and makes you say, wow, look at this. Look how starkly different this yellow color is than this red, than this blue. And it's a color that's not used enough in the landscape and garden. When it comes to conifers, they give you that evergreen interest. And when you add that yellow color in there, it's a whole new dynamic for your garden. I hope you've enjoyed today's video on my top 5 conifers that are yellow that you need in your garden. Thanks so much. Please support us on MrMaple.com. Make sure you're subscribed. Take care. God bless and have a great day.